Curious what real estate really looks like in Mooresville? Hang around, I'll show you. All right, I want to spend a few minutes this morning talking about what the real estate market in Mooresville really looks like, because over the weekend I heard two separate conversations, one in line at the grocery store, one I overheard at a restaurant. You know, there's a million real estate agents in this town, as you're already aware. It goes without saying that you're going to run into one here and there. And the first question that anybody asks any of us is, how's the market? And both, I won't even say what either one of these real estate agents said, but I can tell you that it's consistent, and it's consistent with what I've been hearing for months. Well, I am going to tell you what they said. Hopefully things will pick up as soon as interest rates come back down. That's a bunch of BS and a cop-out answer. I'm sorry. If that's your go-to answer, it's a cop-out because it's not real. How someone responds to that question generally is going to be determined by what their personal business looks like at that moment in time. If they've been chasing business or hadn't had any listings or any calls in the last month, I can tell you right now, their picture of real estate is that the sky is falling. But you ask them tomorrow, they could be walking out of a closing and it's the best it's ever been. I'm here to tell you, if you ask me today or if you ask me in December, I didn't do much of anything in December. I kind of took it easy. So if you would have asked me, I'd have probably told you that things are slow. I wouldn't have told you that, but that might have been my go-to default answer. But if you ask me today, I would say, well, looking at this whiteboard, there's 7 pending contracts that are about to close. There's 11 active buyers, and there's 2 listings that are coming on this week. I could tell you that the real estate market's on fire for me right now, but next month it won't be doing anything. So it's very important that you look at the numbers and not what someone's opinion is at that moment in time of the real estate market. So that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to look at the numbers, because numbers don't lie. We're going to go back January of this year, January of last year, and January of 2022. So let's talk about interest rates first. In 2022, January, interest rates are about 3.5%. Last year, they were about 6.5%, and they're just below that. Let's just say 6.25% at the time that we're doing this video, or actually, that's what it was in January. New listings on the market in January 2 years ago, 118. This year, 2024, 118. The exact same amount of listings 2 years ago as there were this year, even though interest rates are double what they were 2 years ago. Last year it had dropped to about 109, and that was just because people were up in there, they were a little uneasy. Interest rates were at 7.5%, approaching 8%, or had been at that moment in time. So people were wondering what was going to happen. Well, we've been doing it for 12 months now. The numbers are the exact same now as they were 2 years ago. Pending sales. 146 pending sales, January 2022, 104 12 months ago, and there's 135 this January, 35% from 12 months ago. If you look at the average sales price, 2 years ago it was $548,000. Last year, 12 months after that, it was $550,000. This year, $603,000. So home prices, despite doubling of interest rates, are up 10% over what they were just 12 months ago. If you look at days on market, which the average days on market, historically speaking, is about 66, meaning it takes about 66 days for a house once it hits the market to close. 2 years ago it was 27 days, 54 days last year. This year it's at 39 days. So even in the worst year of the last 3, it was still below average. Well below average at 39 versus 66, but certainly not the frenzy that we were seeing 2 years ago. Part of the reason that we were seeing that frenzy is because there was a lot more activity from one demographic. And that demographic is homeowners that had a 3.5% interest rate, were selling their homes to cash in on a lot of equity, and they were buying a new home at a 3.5% interest rate. Anybody will give up 3.5 points for 3.5 points. Those buyers have significantly slowed because not everybody is willing to give up 3.5% for a 6.5%. There's still a lot of people out there because the equity is still so high in their homes, or they're moving or relocating or divorced, or God forbid. There's reasons that everybody's selling. Some of it is still just to cash in on that equity while they can. But that's where the frenzy came from. There was an extra amount of buyers in the market that were replacing what they were giving up. So if you look at the inventory, this is where the biggest significance comes, and this is directly related to what I just said. 2 years ago, there were 76 homes on the market in January. Last year it was 219. This year it was 222, which is still below what we need, but it's more normal than 76. When you've only got 76 homes on the market, that's less than 2 weeks worth of inventory. So there's desperation there. You can't get anything, so people are buying as fast as they can. There's more homes on the market now, so people are not buying out of fear anymore. So when you look at those numbers, the market is doing phenomenally well, just like it has for the last 4 or 5 or 6 years. It really isn't any different then than it is now. There's just a little piece of that frenzy that everybody kind of got a misconception of what real estate was supposed to look like. That's gone, thank God. But we're back into what we'll call a normal market for us, but it's still phenomenally good compared to tradition. So a couple of rules of thumb. I hear people all the time saying, well, I'm going to wait and buy when interest rates drop back down. Okay, interest rates, one, are never going back down to 3 or 4%. If they do, we got bigger problems in real estate. But even if they do drop from, let's say, 6% down to 5%, when that happens, there's going to be a moment in time where that frenzy flares back up, prices skyrocket temporarily, everybody's buying, and then all of a sudden that's going to settle right back down into the norm, because now 5% is normal, just like 6% is normal today. That's not the time you want to buy, folks. Second, people that are thinking about selling their houses. I've heard a number of people say, well, I want to do it now. I've got a lot of equity built up, but maybe I should wait and just see what happens with home prices, because it seems like everything is up right now. And you're right, and everything could be up 12 months from now. I hope that it is to a degree. But let's say that your house payment's $3,000 a month, and you wait 12 months to sell your house so that in the hope of you can make more on it. 3,000 times 12 is $36,000. Just to make what you're going to make today, you got to sell your house for $36,000 more down the road. If you want to make more on your house, you're going to have to sell it for $50,000 or $60,000 or $70,000 down the road. Let's say the market does turn a little bit and things slow down. It could be less tomorrow than it is today. You got to make real estate decisions based on what makes sense for you and your family today. Not what could have been 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and not what it might be 12 months or 24 months down the road. If it does make sense, do it. But don't do it for the what ifs or the what could have been. You don't do real estate based on emotion. You have to do what makes sense. I would rather buy at a lower rate now with a higher interest rate, knowing that I could potentially refinance at a point lower down the road, than wait 12 months and buy higher at a lower interest rate, knowing that I'll probably never be able to drop that interest rate any lower with a refinance, because they're just not going to drop back down into the 4s and 3s, guys. It's just not going to happen. Do what makes sense for today. If you have questions about what things look like for you, I'm always here to help. Call, text, email, always available. I appreciate your time this morning, but that's the reality of what the Mooresville real estate market really looks like at this moment in time.